This thing is officially a dad duty. Hey guys, Tyler here at NuVision. We got another video for you today. Today we're working on my personal truck. So I'll show you, this is my 2024 350 Super Duty. So today we're doing something a little bit different. We're doing basically, if you look back in our YouTube, we had a video from our F-150 single cab, converting it from bucket seats or bench seat to a console. And so today in my Super Duty, we're doing the opposite of that. So I am getting ready to have my fourth kid, don't have anywhere to put him. So we're gonna go against everything I stand for and take this console out and put a bench seat in. I've already kind of started tearing some of that apart right there. So the reason, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you are asking, why don't you just buy a new truck? Well, because one, I put a lot of money into this to get it to where I want it to be. It's kind of a lot of work to build a truck and get it set up like that. Two is you cannot have a bench seat. The way that Fords are set up, you can't have a bench seat and some of the options that I like to have on these trucks. So that is why I'm kind of just ready to swap it. It's going to be a lot cheaper in the long run. So all in all, parts and stuff on this, I was able to source a seat from eBay. It was about 350 bucks, but it did come with the cloth covers. That was the only way I could find one, was out of like an XLT model truck. So I went over to my Ford dealership. I sat down with the parts guy. We ordered all of the correct matching leather seat covers, all the dash panels to help everything, you know, integrate correctly. So I think we've got, the first step is to get the console tore down, get the seat cover swapped out, and then we're gonna get the console out and see kind of what we're working with. I'm pretty sure that we shouldn't have any snags or anything like that, but I mean, there always is usually something. So we're gonna get the console all rebuilt, cover swapped out, and then we're gonna get into tearing the truck apart and kind of get everything stripped down, see where we're at, and we'll go from there. So let's get into it. So on this video, I'm gonna kind of try to format it as more of a how-to, just in case anybody is interested in doing this swap, but also try and make it kind of short and sweet, show you the final result. So we're gonna just do kind of some time lapses. If I run into anything, you know, weird with the disassembly that I feel like needs to be mentioned, I'll stop and mention it. But more or less, I mean, these console designs are pretty simple. So you're gonna pull these side pieces off. There's some bolts and stuff in here. The main bolts are just down on the floor. So you basically just have to kind of get everything apart from the dash right here. We are going to have to change this panel here. So I believe that everything from like this panel here down has to come off. There's just a couple of, so like this bolt right here, and then this whole cover will come off. So yeah, pretty straightforward as far as getting to that point. We are going to take this seat out just because that's the easiest way to get, you know, all the new parts kind of slid in and out, get that seat out of the way. So I'm going to disconnect the battery so the airbags don't blow up in my face. That doesn't sound very fun. And then we'll get the seat pulled out, and then we're going to start tearing the console apart. Okay, so we got the console unbolted, slid back. I'm just gonna go through and show you where the bolts are, because I mean, it kind of took us a minute to find. So there's one right here in the back. That one's pretty easy to see. Now keep in mind the console slid back, so you're not gonna be able to see the holes, but right in this opening right there, there's a 10, so there's 10, a 10, and then the one that was kind of being a little bit of a challenge, there's a door right here. You take that off, and then there's two 8mm that go into right here. So then, yeah, so now we've got everything torn apart to where the console's out. So now we're gonna take this main panel, and we need to switch it to the other panel to integrate. But before we get too carried away with all that, we're gonna go on a side quest real quick. I did the bullet point mounting up in the top there. So that's actually how I'm going to maintain my wireless charging pad, because I am going to lose it on this, and there's not an option to have a wireless charger on the bench seat. So I opted for the bullet point with the wireless charger, and we're going to try to run it through the dash to kind of try and hide all the wires and stuff and make it super clean. So we're going to embark on that adventure real quick. And then once we...
Also, the good news is there's carpet under there. We were worried about there being a big hole.
Yeah, so we were worried about that. So with the carpet, we were concerned about it potentially, the carpet cutting right here. So we do have carpet, which is good. Looks like there's some...
A mouse problem.
No, that's plastic shavings from when they put in the bass knob when they did the subwoofers on it. So we'll get that cleaned up. One thing I can already tell is a little bit different. So this HVAC mouth right here goes through the console and out the back vents. So I'm not entirely sure what to do, what we're gonna end up doing with that right there. I know that there are openings in the new piece that's going to cover right there, but I'm not positive what that's going to look like. So we'll make sure we touch on that as well. There's that bass knob that was in there that I am going to figure out where we're going to put that. We're going to work on mounting up the bullet point, getting some wires run, and then we'll set the seat in here and keep working on it. So one thing worth noting as we're in here, so right here you can see where those two new clips are going to go into this plastic piece. All of these electrical connectors they're just push pinned into this, like the outside right here. So you have to take all those off and feed it back up through here and reconnect everything on the back side so that you can free up space for those clips to lock in. Okay, so we hit a snag that I wasn't anticipating. So what we've got going on is right here are your brackets where the console was bolted to. So those were the two 10mm bolts I was talking about at the very beginning. These little tiny guys right here. And I was a little bit skeptical about that size of a bolt holding a seat in. So we set it in there to see. Stuff kind of just doesn't line up right, so I ended up calling the Ford dealership. They confirmed that it is a different bracket for the bench seat versus the console, and it has a lot bigger bolts that go through there. So I ordered those. Those will be here tomorrow afternoon. So we're gonna kind of keep working through all the dash panels and stuff, get all that situated, plug the seats back in, make sure all of our buttons work. Because we can pretty much get that side of things buttoned up, and then as soon as we get those brackets, it should be a matter of just unbolting those, bolting the new brackets on, set the seat on, and we should be good. So okay, so this is the panel that we pulled out of the truck. This is the new panel. I've already got everything moved over. So this just has the little section that goes lower in place of the center console. It gives you this tray to store stuff in. I still have one more piece that I need to pull out of the console. It's the USB and USB-C that's down by the wireless charger. So the one thing is we are going to have one hole here because there's technically, on the trucks, there's a little like hanger piece. I've never really understood what it's for, but I'm going to try and find a way to, because this is where I'm going to run my cord out for the bullet point stuff. So I'm going to run it out here, plug it in here, and then figure out a way to just plug that, make it look good. But we'll talk about that when I get to that point and figure it out. So this panel is ready to go back in, aside from this one piece, which I'm going to swap in right now. Okay, so we are waiting on those brackets and bolts to be able to bolt this down. So we're kind of at a standstill there, but we did get the dash done and all put back together. So up here, we've got the bullet point mounting system, which is kind of what I opted for to replace my wireless charging pad. The wireless charging pad on these is kind of in a bad spot, in my opinion anyway. So since we were all torn apart, we took the opportunity to run this wire. So it's actually run behind the screen down to here. We drilled a little hole under this panel and then just have it run up into this USB port. The bass knob for my subwoofers, we just opted to put it right there. It was down here in the console somewhere. So, and then the only thing we're missing is this plug right here. So we did have Ford order us one of those, so that should kind of complete the look of everything. But I was very relieved that we had carpet here. So carpet goes up and over. There's your new trim panels, and then this little piece right there. And I will try and include all of the part numbers and stuff in the comments, just in case anybody is interested in doing a swap like this. They have everything that they need. So yeah, turned out pretty good. Nice and clean. So we'll check back in as soon as we get parts and get this bolted in and get seats put back in and everything else put back together. So while we're waiting on parts, I'll talk about one of the things that I knew going into it, that I was going to have to deal with this because it's not an option if the truck has a bench seat, but my truck has heated rear seats. And so I knew that we were going to have, and the buttons for those are in the back of the console. So I knew we were going to have to figure something out to make those buttons work. Or, I mean, I guess if you didn't really care, you could just theoretically leave the harness undone underneath the seat. Nobody would ever know. No harm, no foul. But I kind of have this thing where I like stuff to work. I like to challenge myself and try and see if I can make something work even when it's not supposed to and look factory. So I'll show you kind of what we got there. So this is the cup holder that clips onto the back of the center the seat, and it has this flip down cup holder with some charging ports and plug and whatever. So what we ended up doing is put them up top right there, so it'll sit in just like this, and the buttons are just right on top there, so they press in like that. So what I ended up having to do to achieve that is I took the piece off of the back factory piece. The buttons clip into this bezel right here, so I actually had to take a Dremel tool and cut the bezel off the back of the center console, which it just has a tiny little trim piece that, you know, if anybody ever wanted to go back to the console, it would have to be replaced, but I didn't think that was a huge deal. So anyway, then I just made some marks and tried to cut this plastic as nice as I could. I did have to, once I got the buttons in there, they were kind of a little bit sticky, so I had to get in there with a knife and kind of clean it up a little bit, so it's not quite as pretty as I would like it to be, but I mean, it looks pretty good for not being factory. So, and then I basically just, once I had that hole cut, I epoxied this bezel on there and then clipped that in there. So I'm hoping we don't have any interference with those two plugs right there, but I think we should have plenty of room. The wires are flexible enough that we can kind of finagle it around. So that was one of the other things we had to kind of figure out how to overcome, but after I thought about it for a couple days, I decided that was the way we were going to go with it. The only issue with doing it this way is that if the seat is flipped up, the access to these buttons is kind of hard to get to. Like, you kind of have to shove your hand under the seat to get to the buttons. But chances are, I mean, if I've got a kid in the front seat, I've got car seats in the back seat, so I didn't really feel like that was too huge of a deal. So that's what we did there, and I don't know, I think it turned out pretty good. So okay, so we got our brackets for the seat, so we're working on that right now. Show you one thing that I felt was notable, and I'm not entirely sure, but the brackets as they come, so this is how the brackets look a little bit different. So that basically goes in like that, and then the bolt goes through that bigger hole. But I got looking at these, I don't know if I can get it to focus, but there is no threads in there. So then I was like, okay, well, we'll put a bolt through and put a nut on the backside, tighten them that way. The issue is when that is all the way against the floor, there's no way to get in with a wrench or anything to access. So I don't know if this is the right thing to do or not, so don't chastise me in the comments, but I took this one and I just used a tap and I cut threads in, and then I'm gonna just go to the hardware store and get grade 8 hardware, washers and stuff to be able to attach it to the bracket. So got there's 3 holes on the big bracket, 2 holes on the small bracket. So I'm gonna get these other 2 smaller holes tapped and then go get some hardware, and then we should be good to swap the brackets out and set the seat on. What's up, guys? So we got the console conversion all done. I'm ready to show it to you guys all put in. So here it is all done. Turned out really cool. I'm really happy with it. So I did not put the headrest on there because I feel like it kind of makes this seem a little more open, but you can see it does have the post for a headrest if you do want to put that in there. But storage wise, I feel like it's pretty similar to my console. So I mean, you got up here, and then you flip this up, you've got another compartment down here. Set this right here. Down. So that's basically it. Looks a lot different, but I've had it in for about a week now and I actually really like it. It turned out really good. So I'll show you kind of up close here. So this is the bullet point charger that we did on there. Down here a little lower. So this is where there's a hole drilled down here, and so the cord just comes out, wraps right up into there. That is the bass knob for my subwoofer, so we had to relocate that from down lower. But yeah, other than that, super quick and easy. So got that one all done. We are going to put, if you're interested in doing this conversion, we are going to put all the parts, part numbers and stuff down in the description below so that you can, check that out and be able to do it yourself. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Just call our office, send us an email, whatever works for you. So yeah, that's it for this one, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.